Hey, what's going on, everybody? You are now tuned in to the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast, where we talk about all things related to mental health, faith, and the culture. I am your host, Dr. Chanda, and I am a licensed clinical psychologist. I just so happen to do that by trade, but I am also a licensed minister. So I have that expertise where I can talk about faith and mental health from that perspective. And y'all know, because of who I am, because I love my people, we're going to incorporate some Black-tastic, Black excellent stuff in there as well. So without further ado, you guys know that we are celebrating all month long our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. This has been an amazing roller coaster. I don't think anybody really puts into words how difficult it is being consistent with the podcast and having a vision, wanting it to come into fruition to really help people, but also having to work out like the little things and just like being able to upload it on the platforms, like all those things that people have to work out regarding podcasting. Like it's really been a journey, and I'm just happy to make it this far. And I do appreciate all of you for listening every single time I post a new episode. So yeah, y'all, not only is this a celebration for me, but it's a celebration of y'all. Thanks for tuning in and being so consistent. So I just want to say and remind you all to continue to follow the podcast. Make sure you are subscribing. Make sure that you are a subscriber to our text message platform. This is where you can text me directly. You can ask me any questions that you want me to answer on the show. You can also give me feedback regarding what you think of the show and additional topics that you want me to discuss. If you haven't done so yet, make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Find my page on all social media platforms, whether that is LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Yes, your girl is now on TikTok, so make sure you follow me on TikTok. On all those platforms, I love talking about all the things that I just discussed regarding mental health, faith, and the culture. So you guys can follow me to stay up to date there. And also, make sure that you're paying attention to everything that we have coming up. We got some major announcements coming up in the new year, and I just want y'all to stay abreast of that. So because today is our holiday episode, it is going to be a bit more condensed. We're not going to do a hot off the press segment. I'm just going to go straight into the information because I want you guys to spend the rest of the time with your family. Just the same way that I had encouraged you all to unplug and to be present with your family for Thanksgiving, I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing for this upcoming holiday. Whether you celebrate Christmas, whether you celebrate other holidays, or if you don't celebrate them at all, that is okay. But let's also acknowledge the fact that, you know, this is a time of year where a lot of us have time off. So this is a good time to reconnect with yourself, reconnect with loved ones, reconnect with family. During this time, though, there is a significant level of stress. I'm going to label it as holiday stress. But again, if you don't celebrate the holiday, this episode is still for you. It's just stressors that we tend to experience during the November to December months. So make sure you guys have a pen and paper out as we talk about holiday stress and ways to manage it. How do we set boundaries during the holiday season? And this is actually a topic that I love discussing every single year. It was actually brought to my attention that I had created a post about this sometime around this time last year when Black Love, they literally just posted it like maybe 2 days ago. They reposted it. So shout out to them. Thank you so much for posting my content. Yeah, so that was dope to see. But I wanted to kind of go into detail and in depth with that with you guys. So before we get into it, though, I want to hear like what types of stressors you guys tend to typically experience. So whether you're listening on or you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn or what have you, go ahead and put it in the comment section. I'd love to read that and reply to you. If you're listening to the audio version, you can put it inside of our ratings. So make sure you rate the podcast a 5 and you go ahead and write your description in there. But I'd love to know what types of different stresses you guys experience during the holiday season. And also, I did not mention, make sure you screenshot this episode and put it in your story. You can reply to me that way as well. I love to connect with you via your stories and to repost them. But make sure you're tagging me because sometimes y'all post it and I end up seeing it, but I'm not able to repost it because I'm not tagged in it. So make sure y'all are tagging me. Okay, so how do we set boundaries during the holiday season? Let me tell y'all, people like to press up on your boundaries anyway. The holiday season just makes it worse. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, people just don't like boundaries a lot of times. So if you say you can't do X, Y, and Z, somebody might ask you to do it again. Or if you say you got to be in the house by this time, people might ask you to stay a little bit longer. Like, sometimes people just like to push on your boundaries. And if you're the type of person where you continue to allow people to push on your boundaries and you don't set a limit, you're teaching them that it's okay to push on your boundaries. But this season, I want it to be different. I want it to be different this season for you, beloved. Like, I want you to implement boundaries and stick to them. And if people in your circle can't uphold their end of the bargain regarding your boundaries, then you reinforce them. There's no reason to just shut down and to give in to the boundary that they're crossing. You reinforce them. Okay, so like that's probably a lot of the reasons why some of y'all stress in the first place. You don't know how to implement boundaries. Okay, you don't know how to say no. You don't know how to say, I can't get you that for this holiday, or I can't attend this dinner and also be at your event the same night. Like, a lot of y'all sometimes we suck at boundaries, right? And it's okay to admit, because how can I heal from something if I don't acknowledge it? Some of y'all just need to acknowledge the fact that you're not great at it. And that's okay, because we all have things we're not great at. It's just a matter of acknowledging it and moving forward from it. So how do we deal with this stress? By setting boundaries. Number one, we're going to set boundaries with our time, y'all. Time is the one thing that you do not get back. So literally just a few minutes ago, it was 3:13 p.m. on December the 9th. It will never be that time again. I can never get that time back. It is currently 3:15 p.m. on December the 9th or 8th, whatever day it is. But the reality is, I will never get that time back. Therefore, we have to be protectors of our time. All right, I believe the movie was Lord of the Rings, where the little guy had the precious, and he was protecting the precious. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. I tell people, my clients, like whoever I'm talking to, your time is that precious. You need to protect it at all costs. So that means that people might ask you to, again, like, be at this event and be at that event. And, can you stay longer? Can you spend extra time making dinner? Can you make this dish? Can you make that dish? And you don't have the capacity for that. You humbly decline. Like, you don't have to say yes to everything. Sometimes being a people pleaser or someone who wants to feel validated by other people, people have a tendency to constantly allow people to stretch them thin. But if I'm not setting a boundary, I'm ultimately hurting myself. Yeah, you might be hurting, sister so-and-so feeling who wants you to fry the chicken for Christmas dinner, but I'd rather hurt her feelings than to impact and to inconvenience myself. Like, you don't have to be rude about it, but we have to be protectors of our time. How else are we going to set boundaries? We're going to set boundaries with our finances, y'all. So during this time of year, there was a research done, and it said that a lot of people go into depressive states, or they experience symptoms of depression during the January, February months. Why? Because they find that they overspent in December. December tends to be a time of year where people tend to overcalculate their budget, and they buy gifts for this person and gifts for that person and spend money on food and decorations and things of that nature without really being realistic in terms of what they can afford. And we know that there is a strong correlation between budgeting and money and financial stress to mental health and emotional stress. Because if my finances are impacted, then my mental and emotional stress will be impacted as well. That is why it is important for us to set boundaries regarding these things. If you can't afford to do something this time of year, that is okay. You don't have to buy a gift for anybody. You don't have to buy things for anybody. Like, everybody can get a nice little handmade card. You can get a prayer for Christmas. I will pray for you. I pray peace and blessings and abundance over your family. I claim that, you and your family will be healed, set free, and delivered. I pray these things. That is my gift to you. I don't have to buy you anything, right? So we got to really start reminding ourselves that sometimes the things that we're allowing ourselves to succumb to when it comes to finances and financial stress and buying gifts is literally all tradition. Like, these are not things that we are obligated to do. And granted, maybe that is a tradition in your family that you want to uphold, but it doesn't mean that you have to uphold it to the degree that you upheld it last year. Times change. Financial situations change. Budgeting changes. Therefore, you're allowed to adjust how your finances are adjusting in this upcoming season. All right, so we are setting boundaries with our time. We are setting boundaries with our finances. And lastly, we are setting boundaries with our loved ones. Y'all, we are setting boundaries with our loved ones. And so setting boundaries with our loved ones might mean letting them know conversations that you choose not to have. Oh, I'm sorry, Auntie so-and-so. I would love to engage in that conversation with you, but I do not feel like talking politics today. Do you want to talk about something else? Like, that is how I can redirect the conversation. I don't have to engage in conversations that I find that I know is going to raise my blood pressure. If somebody brings up something, relating to something I'm passionate about or something I disagree with, I know it's going to raise my blood pressure, so I'm not going to want to talk about that during holiday dinner, and I know how to redirect that conversation. So you can cut off conversations when you don't want them discussed. You can set boundaries with those loved ones. And you know what? Especially in the Black community, we have instilled it in people, our children, our loved ones, that when we set boundaries with elders, it is disrespectful, and it's not. You can set boundaries with people. You can set boundaries with elders. You can set boundaries with loved ones without it being deemed as disrespectful, as long as you say it in a manner to where you're not disrespecting them in any way. Me expressing to you my emotions about a particular topic, that's not disrespect, right? Me telling you that I'd rather not communicate about certain things or what have you, that is not disrespect. And here's the thing, a lot of y'all be stressed out about these holiday dinners because you don't know how to set boundaries around conversations. People just be calling me. I don't know what's going on. A lot of y'all be stressed out. I'm going to say this again. A lot of y'all be stressed about them holiday dinners because you don't know how to set boundaries regarding the conversations that people want to have with you. It's nobody's business why you got a divorce. It's nobody's business why you may have picked up weight over the last year. Y'all know we have those families where people want to bring up, the weight you gained or the weight that you lost. It's nobody's business what you have on your plate. And you're allowed to set boundaries, especially when you come from Black families. I heard that, it's common in Caribbean families as well for people to discuss things like that. But it doesn't make it okay. Just because we've normalized it in our community, it doesn't mean that it hurts any less. We just have to be mindful of when those conversations are happening. And parents, when you hear those conversations happening with your children, don't be afraid to intervene. Don't be afraid to intervene. Like, if you hear someone making a comment about, your child's weight, or, shaming them about like body image, especially when they're at those vulnerable ages where things really start to impact their self-esteem, because their self-esteem and their sense of self is developing, it's your parents' job to protect you from that. And we can't just say, oh, well, Uncle so-and-so or Auntie so-and-so did the same thing to me, they'll be all right. No. Like, you can intervene in that. You don't have to allow stuff like that to go on. So I'm going to strongly encourage y'all to set some boundaries this season, especially at those holiday dinners where people don't know how to have conversations. They be impeding and trespassing all over your little boundaries. All over them. But beloved, I promise you, they'll stop overstepping them boundaries the moment you reinforce them. The moment you reinforce them. And it don't matter how people feel about it, as long as, you're saying it in a respectful way. People's feelings might be hurt regarding boundaries. But it's not their boundary to get upset over. It's yours. This is your business. This is your life. You're protecting yourself. You're protecting your children. You're protecting the people around you. Boundaries are meant for protection. Therefore, I'm sorry to this man if you got offended. Sorry to this woman. But at the end of the day, it's about protecting my peace. So I just want y'all to keep that in mind. We're protecting our time. We're protecting our finances and setting boundaries with our loved ones. And so that is our episode for today. I want y'all to keep that in mind as we continue to go out the holiday season. And don't forget, you have the power to create the emotions that you want to experience, y'all. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and everything else that you celebrate or don't celebrate.